Okay, welcome back once again to another episode. This episode is dedicated to the recent high school graduates, or if you graduated high school within the last 12 months, within the last year or so. The message to you is this: before you get yourself into debt that you'll never be able to pay off, consider a career in cybersecurity. And here's the opportunity, and you only have until July 17th. But the Department of War is offering a 12-month, apprenticeship where they are going to teach you cybersecurity as it applies to the Department of War and what we call GovTech. Now, the benefit of this is paid training at home, number one. Number two, the ability to gain government clearance. Once you get that government clearance, now you're able to apply for other GovTech jobs or other careers in the government. And then number three, you're going to get a certification that you can use again to either get other cybersecurity jobs in government or with the Department of War or with private corporations. So this is a win-win situation. Now, why is the Department of War doing this? Well, here's the number one priority. America has recruited a lot of cybersecurity professionals from abroad, from different countries. Come to find out, they said they had certifications, they said they had education. Come to find out that their certification and education is fake, not valid. They just used that to get into the country and then just faked it until they made it. And then they recruited individuals who end up being agents for foreign governments. So now, as a matter of national security, the government is forced to recruit from within and provide their own training to make sure they get qualified candidates. So you're coming in at the perfect time. Now, let's give you some highlights. This is a 12-month full-time program. So if you got a girlfriend, screw her. Screw your girlfriend. You have to lock in on this for 12 months. It's 9 to 5. If you have a girlfriend, you have kids, you better sit down and have a conversation because between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you are dedicated. Compensation is entry level. But again, you're breaking into cybersecurity with no experience. You don't need any experience, any education, any certification. You'll have one when you finish. Okay? The salary is entry level. However, as you get your education, get your training, you're going to rise up on the ladder and your salary will increase. And again, this is an apprenticeship, so there's benefits to that. And the outcome, when you're done, you're going to have that paid training, nationally recognized certification, and most important, government clearance that you can use for other GovTech jobs or other cybersecurity jobs in government, or if you go to the private sector. So it's a win-win situation. Now, what's the value to you? Compensation while you learn. So if you just graduated high school, you're looking for a job, okay, you don't have to work at McDonald's or Burger King or at the mall or whatever. You're going to get paid while you learn. So you can lock in 9 to 5. You're going to gain skill building, gain real world experience. You're going to receive one-on-one mentorship. Now, again, when I got my education in cybersecurity, I wish I had someone I could call to guide me when I had problems or questions. You're going to have a mentor. So you're getting on the computer, you're doing the training online, but you're also going to have mentorship, individuals that are going to be FaceTiming you or Zoom calling you to give you additional information. And the outcome, you're going to get full-time employment, you're going to get credentials, and most importantly, once again, you're going to get the government clearance. And again, with that government clearance, to work for the government, you need government clearance. And you are going to have that. So you can use that to work for the Department of War or work in other branches of government because now you have government clearance. What's the value to the Department of War? They fill the gap. They need people that they don't have. They increase productivity. They can customize their training for the Department of War. So you're learning cybersecurity, okay, but you're learning it in perspective to the Department of War, okay? And this process increases employee retention also. Now, you're going to have to qualify. You're going to have to be a United States citizen. You're going to have to be age 18. And most importantly, you're going to have to be able to pass government clearance. Now, pretty sure if you got a history of domestic violence or violence, that's probably going to disqualify you. Theft, disqualify you. There may be some misdemeanors that you may be able to get away with, but again, you go through the application process, you throw it against the wall. If it works, but at least you tried. But you got to be able to pass security clearance, and you have to be able to commit to 40 hours a week for 12 months. From 9 to 5, you got to lock in. So your girlfriend, screw her. If you got a girlfriend, you got kids, you better have that conversation. When that clock rings at 9 to 5, you got to be there. You can't be saying little Johnny's sick and I got to watch him. No, you better lock in with your partner. You remember, this is a job with the Department of War. This is a big deal. It's a cybersecurity job, but it's a big deal. So you got to lock in for 12 months until you get that security clearance, until you get that education. After that, when you get on a regular job, every job has benefits, etc., etc. But right now, during the training, you have to lock in. What's not required? You don't need any cybersecurity experience. None at all. You don't need any advanced degrees, and you don't need to be active duty military service in order to work um, this program for the Department of War. But if you are active duty and you're taking this program, there are some accommodations to you. Now, again, there's going to be an evaluation process, aptitude over existing technical knowledge. What you need to be able to do to work for the Department of War is you need critical thinking, you need problem solving, and most of us do this at our jobs. Now, if you graduated high school, at some point you have problem solved, believe it or not. So they're not looking at technical skills per se. They're looking at, can you solve problems? If you're put in a jam in a tight spot, how do you solve that problem? How do you critically think? Okay, so problem solving is important. Curiosity and eagerness, willing to learn. Operational flexibility. Are you flexible with different work environments? You're working for the Department of War, so things change quickly, environments change rapidly. You got to be able to keep moving. And commitment. We don't want to hear about your girlfriend. We don't want to hear about this problem and that problem. For 12 months, 9 to 5, you got to be able to lock in. And if you have kids with of your girlfriend, you got to sit her down and say, look, this is an investment in the family. I got to lock in from 9 to 5. Kid gets sick, you got to watch the kid, or get grandma, get your family members in. But you are working for the Department of War. You need to lock in. No excuses, no nothing. You got to be able to suck it up and focus for 12 months. Period. Period. Now, again, there are 4 pillars to this. The first is the dual mentorship. Not only are you going to have one mentor, you're going to have two. Two. I had none when I got some of my cybersecurity training. I had to self-rely on myself and researching on the internet, etc., to figure out how to do things. But you're going to have 2 mentors. So there's going to be online learning where you're going to be logging on, getting your training, but then you'll have mentors to ask questions and to guide you through the process. You're also going to have interactive labs that you can ask your mentor about if you have problems. And then you're going to have on-the-job training Probably depending on where you live, you'll go to a Department of War branch near you. Now, there's a lot of other branches under the Department of War, Homeland Security, Border Patrol, all of that. So it's a 4-tier process. Now, again, what's the pipeline? Number one, raw aptitude. You're going to have to show a high work ethic, and you don't need any prior experience. Phase two, the 4 pillars, okay, months 1 through 11, labs, online training, mentoring, on the job training, etc. Phase three, you're going to get the industry recognized certifications. And Raw 4, you're going to be working somewhere for the Department of War. But again, if you don't find something that works for you with that government clearance, you can pivot in because you got the certification, you got the government clearance, you can pivot into other jobs in cybersecurity and GovTech world. Okay? It's a win-win situation for everybody. Um, and again, as far as the career trajectory, you're coming in with no experience. So you're going to be first coming in as an apprentice. Once you go through those 12 months and get that experience and certification, then you're going to branch up to a cyber defense analyst. Okay. And then you can get more certification, more experience, and then you get specialization, cyber defense infrastructure support specialist, or cyber defense response team member. So your salary goes up, and remember, there's always going to be overtime because they don't have enough cybersecurity professionals. Okay. Now, for this program, there's 2 paths. There's for those individuals that have no experience, and for those that have a college degree in some type of cybersecurity, networking, or certification. Now, there's 2 paths: no experience or education, or education with no experience. So there's a different way. Right now I'm talking about with no experience or education. Okay, remember that. So both people can apply, whether you have experience or not. Now, what's the first step? You got to create an account at USA Jobs, okay, and prepare a federal style resume, max 2 pages. Okay. Step two, after you create the account, got your resume intact, you're going to apply, and you have to do it by the 17th. But what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to apply, they're going to weed out, they're going to take some, and then they're going to weed out again, and they're going to have to put out for more people again. So you'll be, if you miss it, but you don't want to miss it, you want to be responsible, you're going to be on their mailing list, so they're going to constantly get you into this program. The participants will sign an agreement outlining the program expectations, training paths, and stakeholder applications, and then you'll be launched into the program. Very easy. Now, again, one of the most important things that you'll gain from this is the government security clearance. Okay? Because again, this is a pivot. Once you get this government security clearance, you can use this government clearance to get into other jobs. Now, again, there's a Department of War. The majority of jobs are in Washington. There's some other locations, etc., that you might be able to pivot to. But if it doesn't work out for you geographically, okay, with that government clearance, and now you have that certification after 12 months, you can pivot into other roles in cybersecurity and government. So the first part in getting that security clearance is the electronic questionnaire. It's a comprehensive question that asks you about your citizenship, residence, and employment history. The next point is the official federal fingerprinting process. You got to get fingerprinted, okay? And then there's a thorough vetting. This is the Department of War. They got to make sure that you're not a spy, a terrorist, or criminal, okay? So you're going to have to go through that process. Now, here's something to bear in mind. This is a 9 to 5 paid training. Okay. There's going to be online, and there can be in person training depending on where you go. You can work a secondary job, but it better be outside of the 9 to 5 and on the weekends. Okay? You have to commit to 40 hours. And again, if you got a girlfriend that's needy, you better talk to her. Now, if you have a child with a young lady, or if you're married, you're going to have a conversation because you are working for the Department of War. We're at war right now with Iran. No one wants to hear, I got to take care of little Johnny. I got a doctor's appointment. No one cares. You got to lock in, you got to focus in, get help from your family members. But for 9 to 5 for 12 months, you got to be there with the Department of War. So think about that. If you're sick, you better get your ass up. You're going to have to suck it up. You're at war. It's Department of War. It's a commitment. Nothing else matters during those 12 months. Okay? Now, students, if you're a student and you're in college, okay, you can participate night school or weekend school, but it better not interfere with the 9 to 5. Now, here's the kicker. When you sign the agreement, when you commit to the government, and you decide that you want to leave early or this isn't for me, guess what? You got to pay the government back for that training. Let me say that again. If the apprentice leaves the program early, they are required to pay back the government for training received. Now, there are certain waivers for financial hardship or personal family illness, etc. But you got to pay the government back. They're not playing. This is an investment in you and your country and the government. So you got to lock in. We don't want to hear about your girlfriend. She wants this, she needs that. Come on, blah, blah, blah. Spend time with the kids. You can do that after 5. In the meantime, you have to lock in. Ain't no sick. I'm sick. Sick your behind onto that computer to train. Take some Motrin, take some Advil, whatever you got to do, but you got to lock in. This is a commitment for the Department of War. And guess what? We are at war. Nobody wants to hear that. When you're in the battlefield, I'm sick. Nobody want to hear that crap. Wake your behind up. Snap out of it. Now, submit your application via USA Jobs. There's a link in the description. Here's the thing. You only got a week, July 17th. If you miss it, okay, you're on the mailing list. I'm telling you, they will and they are going to need more people because again, a lot of people are going to apply. A lot of people are going to get rejected. They're going to take some, and some people aren't going to make it because they're not going to be able to go through the clearance. So it's going to be rolling. But you want to get in there now. So if you're in high school and you just graduated, or you graduated a year ago, or you graduated and you're just working a dead-end job and you want to change your life, you can do it today. If you're unemployed, stop crying, get off the couch, apply. If you were laid off from a cybersecurity job, stop crying. Yeah, you were there for 10, 15 years, but the job is gone. It's not coming back. It's time to pivot and get into GovTech. And again, there's 2 paths. No experience, no education. Experience or education. You can go in both ways. If you were in cybersecurity but in the private sector, now you can get in to, get into GovTech. All right? Here's the opportunity. I told you what to do. Stop crying. Get off your ass and do something. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And hopefully you'll take advantage of this opportunity.